Welcome back to another episode of That's What She Said. I'm your host, Amanda Bryan, and I'm so glad that you're here with me today. This episode is one that is close to my heart because we're going to talk about something very tender, powerful, and sometimes hard to put into words. And this is the signs that we received from loved ones who have passed. And I appreciate that the suggestion I had put out on my Facebook for podcast suggestions. And this was one of the first comments. So I don't know why I didn't think to talk about it sooner. We are taught in elementary science class that energy cannot be created or destroyed. It simply changes form. Yes, we drop the body, but the soul goes on. The energy of your soul is eternal. It can be difficult. It can be a difficult concept for some of us to grasp, where others, it just like drops into the heart space with this like knowing thud, like it just resonates. So wherever you find yourself, know that you're in the right place. And then I'm going to do my best to offer a reframe because again, we aren't really taught how we communicate with this energy or how we communicate really with energy in general. We very much know how to communicate with like third D energy of like picking things up and putting things down, like the gym commercial. But to sit and to energetically connect with like a plan or the soul of a past loved one, that can be a really difficult concept to grasp. So I invite you to have an open mind. And let's start with grief. Grief is something that we all face because we will all experience death at some point. Death is a normal part of life. And unfortunately, again, we're not really taught enough about death in our culture. I mean, we don't even like the idea of aging, right? $1 billion industry in the anti-aging. But the truth is just death is just as beautiful and natural as birth. And the aging process is actually a gift because not everyone gets the opportunity to age. And so one of the movies that I really like that reframes death, it's a kid family Disney movie called Coco. And it's a story about a living boy who travels to the underworld and he encounters basically the big party that our dead loved ones, their souls are having. And so again reframes it from it being this like done, right? They're gone forever versus embracing the energy of the soul and being able to connect with that, even if it's not on a consistent basis, but it can be as consistent as you'd like. And it probably is. We're often communicating with each other's energy without even noticing it, right? Like if you walk into a room and you read the energy of a room, that's a form of communicating with energy. If you find yourself around someone that's really heavy and depressed and you're kind of like lifting up your own energy and trying to be very hopeful and happy and like sunny, right? Like to lift theirs, like that's another form of communicating and working with energy. And so that doesn't change just because we change form. I think that's the very long way that I'm trying to say this. And also to give ourselves permission that when it comes to grief, when it comes to death, we can hold grief and relief and joy all at the same time. And grief can actually be a really beautiful vehicle to experience this channel. Because within grief, there are these moments, and sometimes they're subtle, sometimes overwhelming, where we feel the presence of those we've lost. Today, I want to share some of my own experiences, my reflections, and some of my reflections from a blog post that I wrote maybe a year or two ago titled Talking to the Dead. So you can find that on my website at amandabryanTherapy.com under the blog. And most importantly, what I want to talk about today is how you can start to notice and interpret the subtle signs that your loved ones are sending to you or maybe sending to you. And as we explore this together, again, I'll invite you to consider a shift, holding grief, not with fear, but with wonder. So before we get in, I just want to give a huge thank you to everyone that is supporting the show, whether you're listening, whether you're contributing in monthly donations, whether you're sharing this with friends. It means a lot that you are here and that you're looking for me and that you are excited to hear my content. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. All right, so let's get into it. This is like a longing as old as humanity, right? Let's start by remembering that this longing to connect with those who have passed is not something new. Across cultures and centuries, people have created ways to reach beyond the veil. In ancient Greece and Rome, oracles were sought for communication with spirits. Shamans in indigenous traditions have long connected with ancestors for guidance. And in the 19th century, the spiritualist movement blossomed as people gathered in parlors waiting for knocks or raps or voices that come from the other side. But here's something very important to acknowledge. Not all of those who claim to be mediums during the spiritualist movement were acting with integrity, and in fact became famous for elaborate tricks and illusions like hidden wires, secret accomplices, like a sleight of the hand. So these charlatans played on people's grief and vulnerability for profit. So I do want to acknowledge that, and even still to this day, there are going to be people that are going to play on your grief or play on your desires. I remember having a friend a long time ago who was working with an energy worker and a healer, and she somehow convinced her to buy like this piece of amethyst that was like $2,000, of course, from her. And I tried to tell her, like, oh, you really don't, like, it doesn't matter the size. Like, you can just go pick up just a little piece, like a little $2 piece from a rock store. But this person was a charlatan and didn't have the best intentions. And there's always going to be those type of people out there. So obviously approaching with discernment, trust your gut. If somebody seems like a fraud, then take it for what it is. Walk away. So just because there's people that, play on people's grief and vulnerability for profit, that doesn't mean that genuine connections don't happen. It just means that, as with anything, spiritual discernment matters. Not everyone who calls themselves a medium has good intentions. So when it comes to your grief, your heart, your loved ones, you deserve honesty, compassion, and respect. I have to say, one of my deepest wounds that I struggle with, and it even comes out in other areas of my life, is lying and being lied to. And I think that's why I feel as passionate as I do in the political landscape. I'm shifting gears here real quick, is because it really bothers me to see people being lied to, especially when they're vulnerable or when they're seeking to us for some comfort or some help. So you deserve honesty. You deserve all the respect. So do your loved ones. So hold that close to your heart. So when exploring this realm, I encourage you to trust your intuition. If something feels manipulative or performative or transactional, it probably is. But if it feels warm and supportive, if it deeply resonates in your bodies, that's when you lean in. Okay, so whether or not we believe in these traditions doesn't matter as much as recognizing that the desire is universal. Humans have always been wanting to connect with spirit, energy, past loved ones. We want to know that love doesn't end. We want to feel that those we've lost are still with us. And sometimes they are. Oftentimes they are. We're rarely ever alone. It's just not in the ways that we might expect. Okay, so my personal experience, and I am a Taurus sun, but I am a Cancer moon, Cancer rising. So when I connect with energy or anything, it very much speaks through my senses. I've been intuitive and aware of energy and spirits for as long as I can remember. I just wasn't able to really label it until I became an adult. But I don't see myself as someone that has a special gift. I just had a private healing session with two lovely ladies today, and was explaining to them that this is not a gift at all. The gift really is when you choose to keep yourself a clear channel, when you take care of yourself, when you have, the right people in your life, right? Like that's the gift, is when you are able to you're so clear, you're vibing so high that you're able to connect with this other energy. So the only real gift I gave myself was the choice to stay open and clear enough to connect with energy in the first place. And again, I believe to my core that we all have this ability, especially children. Kids are very sensitive. They often see, hear, or sense things before they hit puberty or before someone tells them like that it's all just their imagination. So if you have a kid in your life and they're talking about, they connect with their great grandfather who they never met, or they see them or they're laughing, right? Try not to be afraid of it. Lean into it, encourage it, nurture it. For me, channeling and receiving signs isn't about being magical. It's about mindfulness. It's about paying attention. It's the practice of co-creating our lives with the energy around us. We are co-creators. We are very much, as open can of worms here, another episode, but we are co-creating our experience every moment, all the time, on a personal level and a collective level. And it's really like learning a new language, only this one doesn't use words. It speaks through the senses, through images, feelings, smells, sounds, and those other subtle nudges that can shift everything if we're willing to notice it. So for me personally, I can remember one time before I really knew that I was connecting with spirits. It's when I was in my Reiki training, and Lourdes had walked by, and I said, "Oh my goodness, that whatever perfume you're smelling smells so good." And she was like, "Oh, I don't wear perfume. That's just one of the energies or spirits in the house." There have been times when I'm around or channeling and doing medium work with someone, and I'll get like a scent of cigarettes or somebody smoking, and I'll say like, "Oh, did this person smoke?" And oftentimes it's yes, or we can kind of claim it that way. When I connect with spirit, it isn't always like a movie scene where someone appears clearly and speaks in full sentences. For me, it's multisensory. Sometimes I see things in my mind's eye, people, pets, places, images, and I think based on how high vibing the spirit is, they can come across like sometimes it is like a subtle hearing. Like I'll hear someone's name. I'm actually pretty terrible with names, but I'll hear the name and say it. Other times it will be like if I were to tell you to imagine what a mountain looks like in your mind's eye, like I'll see it that way. Or I'll get the image of like the hair. Like sometimes if it's someone that like had, a very specific kind of hair, I'll just see like big hair or curly hair, and I'll say, "Oh, like what was up with this person's hair?" And then the person usually collects. Today when I was doing a reading, a soccer ball kept coming up and we could not collect the soccer ball. And so it's what's kind of a like they'll keep showing it, and I'm not getting the message. So I just set it aside. And I hope if the ladies that I met with today, which I don't know what day am I recording, August 24th, if the soccer ball makes sense yet, let me know, please. Yeah, so again, oftentimes I'll hear names, words, or even a sound that feels connected. Ooh, one of my favorite things is when I connect people that like I'll smell motor oil and ask like, "Oh, did they like working on cars, or were they a mechanic?" Certain foods, I've been able to like kind of pick up the texture or taste of certain foods when I'm talking to people. Sometimes it's just sensations in my body too, like a tightness in the chest, and I'll ask, did that person pass from the upper chest? And as soon as it's collected, it goes away. Or I'll get like an ache in my shoulder, or sometimes like I'll feel it in my head, like, "Oh, have you been getting headaches?" Or did that person pass from a head injury? So again, this is all in correspondence to how someone's passed or what they want to have acknowledged about them. I remember one time doing a mediumship reading. I was using tarot cards for a woman who spoke very little English, and I don't speak any Spanish at all. So here we were, two people with this language barrier, and I just let the spirit of her son guide through me. And what unfolded was one of the most beautiful and healing sessions that I've ever experienced. And it was healing for both of us because, I mean, I'm a skeptic. I'll always be a skeptic. I'll never take anything for face value. I'm like, I don't even know what the hell I'm doing. I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just doing it. I'm just opening my mouth and letting it come out. But from that moment on, after like we embraced, she's crying, it was so healing and beautiful. But and from that day on, I thought to myself, okay, this is legit. Like there's no way that I could have even picked up, even if I picked up on her thoughts, I'm assuming they'd be in Spanish, so I don't know. Because even I, again, as a skeptic, sometimes wonder, like, what am I really doing here? Am I just picking up on someone's thoughts? Am I reading their energy? Which honestly would still be pretty amazing. But in the moment, I knew that it was something more, again, because I definitely cannot mind read in Spanish. And I think when you're sitting with somebody and you're connecting them with their loved ones, or you're connecting with your loved one, you know, you have that discernment too of like, what you experience, what you know of that person. Or in this case, I find it easier to read for people that I have no idea who they are and clearly who don't speak the same language as me than when I read for someone that I do know, or connect someone that I do know, or if it's multiple times I've connected them. Because then I feel like at that point I know them. So I have a hard time discerning like what's them and what's me. But when you come to me for a session, whether it's in person or in virtual, the experience is really the same. In fact, sometimes virtual can be even better because I record those sessions, which means you don't have to worry about remembering every detail in the moment. You can just sit back, relax, and focus on the conversation. And I've honestly found that a lot of people feel more comfortable connecting from their own homes when you're calm and centered and you're in your own familiar space. It can actually make it easier for me to connect you with your loved one versus when you're in. If you're really nervous or anxious, there's a barrier that I have to kind of try to, you know, work through in order to get the whatever the message is for you. Now, can I call people and specific people? I can try. I can do my dangdest. But no, I cannot guarantee anything ever. It really is up to your guides, your whatever you need in that. When I invite spirit in before a session, I never know exactly how the energy will show up. Sometimes it's a fleeting image, other times it's just this deep knowing. Again, sometimes it's through my senses. But what I've learned is that these experiences are meant to be shared with curiosity and compassion, not as proof, but just as an offering, just as kind of a doorway to open it up and to see what comes up. I mean, what hurt is going to come if you sit and witness a butterfly pass by, and in that moment you were thinking, right before you saw that butterfly or as you saw it, you thought about your past loved one. And then if you leaned into that, just, this is an offering, this is not proof, but it's just an offering that this could be them. And if you just sit and pause, maybe you'd connect it a little bit deeper for them, or just knowing that they're there, or having that feeling that you're getting a sign from them, can be so healing. And when we heal, we become very powerful. That's how we create our power, is we have these painful experiences and we create wisdom from them. That's third eye chakra. That's that connecting to higher consciousness, connecting to our intuition. So signs are going to appear in many ways, and you don't have to be a medium or a channeler to notice signs. Our loved ones reach us in all the time, every day. So one common way is dreams. If you're having vivid dreams that can be very comforting, where our loved one appears healthy and whole, or maybe they're just kind of silently in the background, or yeah, that's one way that they connect with sounds. You might hear their name in your mind, or like music. You might hear their favorite song just at the right time, right? Like it's one of those things. The next time it happens where you hear that song and you're thinking of that person, or someone reminds you, right? Like you think like, oh, I think that's a sign from or could that be a sign from my loved one? Just say yes. Just let it be what it is. Sometimes I think we so desperately are looking for like a specific sign, where we're looking for them, right, to show up, when really they're coming to us like in the form of, I don't know, like a butterfly, or they're coming to us in, um, we see them in other people. Like we see people that looks like them. We drive by them and we're like, oh my gosh, that looks just like my grandmother. Oh, I miss her something. Right. And then you just kind of let the thoughts, the feelings, the knowings, let them connect. Um, Scents. So you might smell their perfume or the food that they like to cook. Again, you might get like a scent of a motor oil or something along those lines. We can also get physical sensations. So I've guided people, clients through connecting on my table before, where, sometimes people say that they feel like a gentle warmth, like a brush on their cheek. They'll get goosebumps out of nowhere. I know some people like to call goosebumps, like those are like affirmation, your angels are around. And then, of course, the nature signs. I've already mentioned some in birds, butterflies, feathers, repeating numbers, those little nudges from the universe that they just make you pause. And like, that's the magic. That's the beauty. And what matters is not what the sign is, but how it lands with you. Did you feel comforted? Did you think of that loved one instantly? Did something inside of you soften? That's the resonance of a sign. It bypasses logic and it goes straight to the heart. It goes straight to healing. It goes straight to like the beautiful part of life. All right. So now how are you going to interpret these subtle signs? They're going to come across you, right? You're going to go by a feather. You're going to see someone you know. You're going to hear the song. And how do you know if something is a sign or just a coincidence? And this is what I found. One, don't overthink it. The mind will always try to analyze or dismiss. That's what we like to do. The mind likes things to be black and white, but the heart just knows. So you can even start to overthink it and be like, oh, look at you, silly little head of yours. And then just drop into your heart and just know. Pay attention to your body. When you get a sign, do you feel warmth? Do you get those tingles? Maybe some tears, maybe a sense of peace? That's a clue. When you have that type of energetic shift within you, that's also a clue. When I'm walking through houses and doing clearings or just cleansing the energy, I lead with my body. I lead with my heart. I sense into what and the subtle energy shifts. And oftentimes I can say like, oh, what happened over, what typically tends to take place over here? There's a lot going on here because I can feel it. The energy gets denser in my heart space. Trust. Another one is trust repetition. If the same symbol, the same number or image keeps showing up, it's worth paying attention to. The other thing you can do is I'll say like, I think we all do this, like, oh, show me a sign in quarters or pennies, right? Like we can ask them. Or oftentimes I used to do this. I think when I was trying to like affirm to myself what I was doing when I would medium and connect people, I would ask the person, the spirit, like, so if I was connecting a father with his daughter or whatever, and I needed a sign, like, okay, dude, I need to know that like that was actually you. And legit, I might ask, show me what it would be. And it would be like a guitar, right? Like something like that. And then there were times where like I'd walk out the door and get into my car and someone would say on the radio, say the word guitar. Or I'd see a truck go by with a guitar on it, like things like that. I'm like, oh, okay, all right. That's just too, I don't believe in coincidences anyways, but like, that's just too much. Even I can't like dismiss that one. So trust that repetition, ask for signs specifically, ask them to show you, how do you want to come through to me? What is your sign for me? You can, call in your loved one and say, I want to connect with you on a different level. So show me how you can want to connect with me on a different level. They might give you a feeling. They might give you a color. They might give you a vision. Just play with it. You can't do this wrong, right? If anything, the only wrong thing you do is not be open-minded to it. That's it. So just trust it. And let the meaning be personal. Don't let it like, a cardinal might be a sign for one person, but like nothing special to somebody else. If it speaks to you, that's enough. That's all that matters. You don't need stay in your spiritual lane. You don't need to compare experiences. You don't need to think someone else's experiences are better or worse than yours. You just stay in your own spiritual lane. Because the truth is, you don't need proof. You don't need to explain it to anyone. If it feels like a message from your loved one, honor it as such. The meaning it brings to you is all right. Now let's talk about grief. Let's talk about holding onto grief with wonder and not fear. Grief so often carries fear. Fear that the connection is gone forever, fear of forgetting, fear of living without them. But what if we could shift our perspective and hold grief with wonder instead? Grief is a mirror of love. It exists because love existed first. And if love is that powerful, then perhaps it doesn't just disappear. Maybe, just maybe, it transforms. When we approach grief with wonder, we make space for mystery. We open to the possibility that love still finds ways to reach us. We allow signs, synchronicities, and small moments of comfort to touch us instead of dismissing them. Wonder doesn't erase the pain, but it changes the way that we carry it. Instead of holding grief as absence, perhaps we hold it as a doorway, an invitation to notice the many ways that love still shows up. So today, I invite you to start paying attention, to notice the little things, the feather, the song, the dream, the feeling. Ask yourself, what if this is love reaching through? You don't need to prove it. You don't need anyone else to validate it. You just need to let it touch you, to move you. Our loved ones may be gone in body, but the bond of love is not fragile. It's expansive, it's creative, and it's often surprising. So I'm going to end on that note. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. If you want to read more about my own journey with this, you can find my blog post, Talking to the Dead, on my website, amandabryanTherapy.com. If you would like to help connect with your loved ones, if you want to learn how to connect with your loved ones, again, I offer in-person and virtual sessions. I'm happy to support you on that journey of building that connection and trusting your own intuition. And as always, may you carry your grief with wonder, and may you feel the whispers of love that still surround you. And that's what she said.